Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jean Thill, and on today's show, we're visiting with Patty Origer, Evangelization and Catechesis team member and the Disability Coordinator for the Diocese of Des Moines.
I don't know that we're really slowing down at all in June here, Jean. There's lots of festive events and also meaningful events. The Des Moines meeting going on today. We've kind of had a long wind-up to that, but hopefully people can feel free to take part, even if you can't make it for the whole day, to pop into the Pastoral Center of Des Moines, 601 Grand, and join us for panel discussion. And just being with is a great part of this, all in the spirit of Monsignor Luigi Giussani, founder of the Communion and Liberation Movement. And
and to gain an understanding of what that means, because when I first saw it, I'm like, Communion and Liberation, is that some weird thing over here that, but it's not. But I didn't know that. I'm guessing most people don't.
No, so I think, and again, it's not an indoctrination session, but I think this broad openness and spirit, all centered in the fact of Jesus and the transformative effect he has, but just bringing forth what is most truly human. So some Gen Z panelists, we're going to talk about the particular focus and gifts that they bring, and also maybe the life challenges that they face. We'll talk about AI. Isn't that a topic that continues to be unfolded? For those who are looking at the Pope Leo's message, encyclical, on the grandeur of humanity in light of the now opportunities and challenges of artificial intelligence. So I still haven't digested the whole piece of it.
Yeah, I'm not done yet either.
We'll get there. Looking forward tomorrow to being the young people at All Saints Stewart for confirmation. The confirmation oils continue to flow. And then joining with Father John Bertogli, much beloved former rector of the St. Ambrose Cathedral. He missed a 70th birthday party celebration, so now he's going to combine 70 and 75 tomorrow evening, and so we will fet him. He who has a delightful laugh. And
does that make him 72 and a half?
Do the math.
I guess.
We can. But next week, U.S. bishops have their spring plenary meeting, as we say. All the bishops will be gathering this time in Orlando, Florida. I don't know who chose to go to Orlando in June, but there you have it. You know, but so I think we'll probably be in the bubble of the hotel, but not as maybe anticipated to have any kind of hot button topics or anything that we're addressing, but I think just again to be together, to look at the various things in terms of the liturgy and the refreshment of some of the translations and the elaboration there of the revised charter for the protection of children and young adults, and the ways in which certain beatifications, Archbishop Wensky, John Rick Miller, a layman, to be proposed for beatification, and Reverend Monsignor Joseph Boo, a priest of the Diocese of Duluth. So it's always the local ordinary who has the opportunity to present these folks to the bishops. And I don't know in my time as bishop that we've ever said, no, this person does not have the
they are not holy enough.
manifest sanctity. So it's not just pro forma either. It's always an opportunity for us to be inspired by those whom we hear about. And of course, on Thursday, the consecration of the United States on our 250th anniversary to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. We'll do so at the Basilica of Our Lady of the Universe in Orlando. So that should be...
Oh, that's exciting.
Who needs to go to Disney World? That's where the action is. And unfortunately, all seats are spoken for at that Mass. But I imagine EWTN will be broadcasting that also. So we think about Giussani, the reflections that he have, and with anticipating with Patty Origer coming up and that whole theme of belonging, which transcends inclusion. Giussani said that awareness of belonging to community, of our unity, our communion, is a determining factor of the same consciousness which the Christian faces even as an individual, all the problems and challenges of society. It's the ideal reference point that illuminates our consciences and faces the problems that we're presented with. The newness in the world that is faith, maintained within the authentic experience of community life, fills the whole of life, creates a different subject, a new creature, and the totality of this person's activity, her judgment on things, her vision of humanity and of history, her relationships and her behavior cannot cease to be determined and qualified by this faith. The saints are those who recognize the plan of God, which is the presence of Christ, and following this presence, cooperate with God for the good of humanity according to his deepest, most destiny. Christian newness is the peaceful miracle of a person who risks everything on a life in the church.
And on that point, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we'll be visiting with Patty Origer of the Evangelization and Catechesis team. She is a disability coordinator for the Diocese of Des Moines. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. On today's show, we're visiting with Patty Origer. She is with the Evangelization and Catechesis team for the diocese and the disability coordinator at the Diocese of Des Moines.
Patty, it's good to have you back. You're a familiar friend here of Making It Personal, and our tenure at the Diocese of Des Moines coincides about 6.5 years, and you came on board, but your involvement in this area, not only through your family, but more broadly precedes that. Kind of a little bittersweet here as we think about your well-discerned decision that maybe time to conclude and spend more time with family and focus on other parts of your life as your vocation. But thank you for the time, and maybe just kind of give you the opportunity not to give yourself a shout out, but you got to let your light shine. Don't hide it under a bushel basket. What are some of the things? Your area includes disabilities much more broadly, though. Maybe some highlights over the last 6.5 years as you're kind of winding it down.
Yes. So as Bishop said, I was hired 6.5 years ago. I say I qualified for this job because my oldest son, Jeremy, has cerebral palsy, and I've been his advocate for 33 years. And so I would see a lot of people that don't have family members that advocate for them. And so that's kind of why I applied for this position. And over the years, I've had a great experience, learned a lot. There's a national organization called the National Catholic Partnership on Disability, and they've really grown. They had a new leader that started about the same time I did, and she's really grown that organization. And they do a lot of trainings, which one of them we're going to talk about on our show this morning. That's coming up next week on accompanying the aging. But over the years, I've worked a lot with caregivers, and we've started mental health ministry. We have a couple caregiver support groups. We've hosted training events for our faith formation leaders. I've met a lot of great people across the nation. We've partnered with all 4 dioceses in Iowa. We have disability ministry contacts that connect and work together. We've worked on promoting hiring people with disabilities with the Knights of Columbus. I'm trying to think of all the other things.
My goodness.
I think she's
and we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, and we did a lot of introductory, and we started having parish advocates. That's been another big thing. We've tried to reach out to parishes. We have 12 of them now that have parish advocates that are people in the parish that others can go to when they have needs related to disability, and they try to raise awareness about how those parishes can reach out and meet those needs.
Are they kind of like navigators or?
Yeah, support people that are like the contact, and they work with the parish leaders and the priest and say, this is a need. Maybe it's a physical accessibility need. Maybe they want to start having sensory-friendly masses, which is something we're starting to do, because people that have disabilities, intellectual developmental or anxiety, going to a full hour of mass on the weekend with a lot of people is overwhelming.
Sometimes it's demanding for a person without a disability.
Right, or somebody with dementia even might have a hard time going to a full hour mass. And so the sensory ones are softer, quieter, a little quieter music, quieter lights, softer lights. We just hosted one at my home parish of St. John's, and one mom afterwards said,
Adel.
In Adel, and she came in and she said, my teenage daughter walked into church and went, oh my gosh, it's so much better without the bright lights, just softer a little bit. She deals with some anxiety, and so coming to church is hard for her. And so anyway, so that's just some of the different things that we've been working on, and with my team and with lots of the great people in the diocese that have stepped up to support and help with this.
And also extending, as I think, the Blue Mass and Mass for those who've lost a loved one through suicide or other ways. So really, again, your ministry extends far and wide. For someone who's supposedly part-time with the diocese.
She's part-time?
I know. I'm part-time paid, but I'm full-time thinking.
Yeah, with that great passion. So, yeah, excellent. And Deacon David Brown of the Diocese of Sioux City, Iowa State Extension, sings your praises as well on the things that we already have going in the diocese. But it's not a competition, and we maybe give you an opportunity also to say where you would see areas for growth too. But we think about people with disabilities, and that's the proper term these days. There are other ways we they're persons. They're human persons with dignity. Our brothers and sisters in Christ,
Right.
And that's where the accent starts. Then, oh, by the way, there's a disability there. But the way in which all of us, we don't want to just kind of democratize and say, we all have disabilities, because that, I think, also diminishes the real challenge and cross that the individual might bear as well. But it also becomes a portal through which human possibilities shine forth, as with your son Jeremy, who's a delightful fellow on the times I've seen him and engaged with him on the bicycle and other ways too. So reflecting on disabilities, we think about them. Some say they're the largest minority group anyone can join at any time. Why is it important for communities to recognize that disability affects all of us, either directly or indirectly?
Well, as the definition says, anybody can get a disability at any time. And if you live long enough, as we age, chances are you're going to have some sort of disability, some hearing loss, some vision loss, all those things that are just natural aging process. And so disability is something that you don't want to have, but as you live long enough, sometimes those happen. It's important to build those relationships and support people and give them opportunity to share their gifts, because people may have a disability, but they do have gifts to share. And we want to recognize that and invite them to be a part of our communities and be communities of belonging.
Mm-hmm. And there's a key term there, right? Belonging. And not just inclusion, but belonging becomes a much more full and rich term that communicates something more than just the inclusion.
Right. Dr. Eric Carter, who's a big leader in disability and does a lot with faith communities. He's from Baylor University, and he has a quote, and he's developed the 10 dimensions of belonging. But he has a quote, he talks about inclusion is when somebody is invited to the party. Belonging is when they've been invited to dance. So that kind of explains the difference.
Yeah, I love that.
So.
And some of us may prefer to be on the sidelines when it comes to dancing as well.
That's true. But
yeah. We think of the Night to Shine events. Is that one of the menu of opportunities that we're talking about? Literally to dance.
Yes, that's right. And we have 2 parishes in our diocese that have stepped up to offer Night to Shine. That's a Tim Tebow sponsored event that financially supports it to get it started. Sacred Heart in West Des Moines has offered them for 3 years, and St. Mary's in Shenandoah, is that they have offered them for 2 years, and it's a wonderful night to celebrate people with disabilities and the love God has for them, and the gifts to celebrate their lives that they bring to our world. So they're fun events and exciting, and then it builds those relationships in the community to continue for them to belong.
Wonderful. What, in terms of coming to terms with the fact that a child may have a disability, what are some of the kind of maybe seasons of emotions and of the heart that parents might have to confront as they kind of face the reality that maybe some of their hopes aren't going to be realized in the way that they had anticipated? Right.
Yes, there's... I remember when our son was diagnosed, and it had been a couple of years, and we had a speaker come and talk about, you'll be going through the grief process over and over in your life. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go through it once, let alone multiple times. But as your child ages and one of the things that's overwhelming to know what's going to happen, what's going to turn out, what's life going to be like for them? Am I going to be their caretaker their entire life? It can be overwhelming that you don't know. Any parent doesn't know what's going to happen with their child, but you even have greater concerns. And so when they tell you you'll go through that grief process, like big transitions in life. So when your child goes to preschool, it may be different. When they go to kindergarten, and you see the differences between what your child is experiencing and what the other children may be experiencing. And then that transition time is a big time when they turn 18 and you're kids go off to college, go off to work, but what's going to happen to your child? Are they going to live with you? Do you need to get other caregivers in? Are they going to live in a group home or a host home? What jobs can they get? How can they get extra training to be employed? And there's just a lot of steps. Do you need to get guardianship? All those decisions have to be made. Getting them on Social Security, that's another whole process.
So are you a resource for parents with all of those questions? I mean, where do they go when they don't know what they're supposed to do?
One good resource that I refer people to is the Ask Resource Center. It's based in Johnston, but they cover the whole state of Iowa, and they're a parent support network, and they have contacts across the whole nation, but they provide training on many of those things, resources, in the school system, especially for parents trying to get services for education. So they're a great resource that I send families to. They will know experts if they don't have the answer.
The Ask organization.
Yes. And they have actually a parent mentor group that I'm a mentor for. So it's a volunteer thing that they'll match you up. So if you have it, like you're transitioning your child and you just don't know what to do. Should you do a group home, host home? Can I talk to another parent with maybe a similar diagnosis? And so they will try to match you up with different mentors to help those parents to have somebody to talk to.
And I thought raising the other kids were hard. I mean, it's like...
It's just another layer. I talked with one mom, and we talked about going to medical appointments. And my son, when he was younger, we had a lot of therapy. So we'd have therapy 2-3 times a week, doctor appointments. She has 3 kids. 2 of them have disabilities. One has a medical condition. She said, I counted up 1 month. I had 30 medical appointments in 1 month with her family of 3 kids as a single mom. I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So some families have those extra things going on and they're not many times just you have an acute illness for a month or 2. It's years of doing this.
Wow. Yeah. Good family I'm friends with, 3 children. They just received the diagnosis that their youngest child, their son, very high on the autism spectrum. It's not a total surprise to them, but confirms, their intuitions in that regard. And I believe they have the spiritual resources and the community to die with their parish. Any counsel for me how I can best accompany them as a friend and priest?
Right. Well, just listen to their stories. Always listening is a good thing, and providing support and opportunities and all of those types of things. But people just need to share their stories and, try to provide them, connections. And, also offering the sacraments to their children with disabilities, because many times, hopefully not now, because we've had this ministry and we've educated our leaders, but even still in this country, people with disabilities aren't included in receiving the sacraments. They were told, you're an angel, you don't need them. But they need to receive the sacraments, and we as parishes need to help them. Our Lady's Immaculate Heart is just in the process of having 2 ladies in their 50s. Their guardian, who is now caring for them, is going to have them baptized and to join the church. And so we're thinking, like, what about there's other people that their family is now gone and they're in caregiver institutions, and so they might need some supports and growing in their faith.
Well, bravo to have that awareness and to take steps to meet that deep spiritual need that we all have to be drawn in to become a child of God through the grace of the Holy Spirit. I was fortunate in the confirmation season to confirm several young people who, obviously manifesting disabilities of various orders and things. So beautiful belonging for those parishes as well. Think about that threshold. You mentioned earlier people who are more senior in their weakness, how the prospect that they're not going to be around forever and making provision for their son or daughter. Is the Ask organization one that we would turn to, or is that a more sobering moment for them, that stirs deep-seated fears?
Right. I have a couple of friends that are in their 70s now, and they've been caregivers for their children. They're trying to figure out what do they need to do. It's really coming closer that they need to have a plan, and maybe their other adult kids don't live close anymore, and so what's going to transition? And so just having those having somebody to help accompany them. And the Ask Resource Center can provide some advice on looking at options. There's lots of different disability organizations that provide services. Actually, St. John's in Adel last night, where I'm from, we had a job fair, and we invited 8 local disability vendors to come in. Of course, with the rain, we only had about 7 people attend, but we had some families and we had some people that were looking for jobs to start working, because disability organizations always need employees to be caregivers. And there's lots of part-time or full-time opportunities. So part-time could be just once a month. Being with a child with a disability, getting them out socially to go to the movie. It can be once a week. You can make it what you want it to be. So if you need a part-time job to earn some extra money, it's a way to serve people with disabilities and support their families. And there's always, if you are looking for a change of career, there's some full-time opportunities. You can help with job employment. You can help be a host home provider and provide care in your home to somebody. Work in a group home on shifts. retirees that are looking for something to keep them busy. You can be as little as busy
instead of Walmart being a greeter at Walmart, right?
That's right.
Other choices.
There are other choices.
Even would possibly some teenagers looking for summer employment, whether
Yes.
they're 16, 17, 18.
Yep,
Yeah.
they can hire people 16 and then even college students. Easter Seals has a weekend respite where you can just work 1 weekend a month. You'll work like 48 hours straight, provide respite, and then you earn some spending money for that month.
Wow.
So there's lots of opportunities
enriching
for
in lots
that.
of ways. And we're approaching the break very quickly. Is there a sense that, just as we may all be drawn into caring for our aging parents, that the persons who might have disabilities, that there's maybe a special charism that is drawn out of them, their tenderness and love. They may not be able to do some of the physical tasks or other demands, but that they might be able to actually provide, that love and reflect the love of God and that steadfastness that He has. And I say all that, and then we approach the break. Jean laughs or scowls at me. Either way, so we'll leave it at that and come back. That's our teaser for the break.
When we return, we will continue our conversation with Patty Origer, part of the Evangelization and Catechesis team at the Diocese of Des Moines, and she is a disability coordinator. She has lots of information, so go online to dmdiocese.org and then /disability ministry to find out more information. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
Thank you, Patty, for remaining with us. And before the break, I was just talking that all children called to be caregivers, perhaps at some season of life, including those who might have disabilities, and that maybe a charism is displayed there. But is that something you see? And then I think you've got something coming up very shortly that pertains to this area.
Yes. Caregivers can be anybody of any age. Just having a relationship and building friendships. One thing about persons with disability, even if you think about people who are aging, many times the only people that are their friends are their caregivers. So just having a relationship, and as a parent of a child with disabilities, knowing that Jeremy has real friends, and he's had some great friends of people that have cared with him, but just having other friends. There's a young man that takes him to the movies 2 or 3 times a year, and they go out disc golfing, or just building those friendships. And he's made friends at his church at Christ the King. And so as a parent, you want your child to have those relationships and to know God's love through those relationships. And so that's important for people with disabilities and aging, and for all of us. And you just might have to intentionally build those opportunities when you have a child with disabilities or an aging parent. But the event that we wanted to talk about is being hosted by the National Catholic Partnership on Disability, and it's a virtual event, and it's a 3-day webinar starting this coming Monday. And they do have a Spanish option that will be a couple of Saturdays later in June, but they offer what they call the Summer Intensive, and their topic is accompanying aging populations. And so some of the presenters will be talking about spirituality and the blessings of aging, caregiving, end-of-life care, dementia support, mental well-being, ministry of consolation, and physically aging congregations.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think it really relates to our diocese initiatives of the strategic priorities of welcome and care. We had a lot of parishes that took on welcome and care as a strategic priority. And welcome probably is a little bit easier than the care part. Care provides a lot of time and effort and volunteers. And so I encourage those parishes that are looking at welcome and care as their priority to have somebody attend this webinar. We are an affiliate member of NCPD because they provide a lot of resources to myself and my position in disability ministry across our country. And they have a discount code that you can get because we're an affiliate member. And so if you register for the webinar, you can use a 15% discount code. And
That's awesome.
And then the coupon is 2026-affiliate 15.
They'll be calling you.
Yes, and they can email. And then there's one for clergy that's 60% off.
Wow.
So if you want to get that discount code because you're going to attend the course, please drop me a quick email at porg@dmdiocese.org, and I can put that on there. And I think we have it on the event page for the diocese. I know we have it there, but I think the affiliate codes are on there.
For our Iowa Catholic Radio and Spirit Catholic Radio listeners, let's be very specific. How are we going to find this and track this down? And what kind of time commitment are we talking about? And can you come if you don't make it on Monday the 8th? Can you?
Yes, it's a Monday through Thursday from noon to 3, and you register. It's a webinar. So if you can't come all 4 days, you come for when you can, and you just join the webinar. But we have it on our diocese event page and the link to register. and I will add those discount registration codes on there.
So that's just dmdiocese.org and go to the events.
Yep.
Awesome.
So even if you're Archdiocese of Omaha, Diocese of Sioux City, the Diocese of Des Moines will happily and generously allow you to get the discount.
Yes. Okay. And like if you're not from the other diocese, feel free. We want anybody can come to this and join it. So it's Accompanying the Aging, and I think it'll be really helpful for parishes to learn more about how we can support. And our population is getting older. There were some statistics that just talked about in 2030. There'll be way more elderly people than children.
Well, since I'll be part of that cohort.
Me too.
We should talk about
literally making it personal. So, Patty Origer, thank you for the ministry, the joy, your big, great soul that you've brought to us, and will continue in another capacity. But you have blessed us, and so with a hearty thanks from all of us in the Diocese of Des Moines.
Well, it's been a blessing for me to serve and get to know the people in the diocese. Thank you, Bishop.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thanks to our guest and to all of you, our listeners, whether you're in Iowa, Wisconsin, Missouri, or wherever you are listening to the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.